Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Sunday morning, and you know what that means. It is time for a dignified Sunday Blether. As you can see, we're one man down. Our illustrious dignified leader on a Sunday, David Logue, is not here today. He's obviously had 2 weeks holiday in Florida, and today I think he's going to pick up a new car. All right for some, I guess, but don't worry, guys. We will continue on as normal. So I'm stepping into the hosting seat today. I'm a wee bit rusty. I've not hosted a show in about 3 weeks, so hopefully I don't make a mess of it here, and I do David some justice. But yes, as you can see, folks, we're joined by the regulars on the dignified Sunday Blether team, Mark Kearney and Regan Stevenson. So, Judge Kearney, how you doing this fine morning, mate?
I'm doing very well, mate. A wee bit knackered, I don't know why, but I think the game yesterday was probably the best warm-up for next Saturday. I thought it was a proper test for the players, even just physically. I don't think Wolves were a very good standard opposition, quite honestly. I think Celtic could have put 5 or 6 past them, but I think the actual the energy levels were pretty good for Celtic yesterday. I quite enjoyed it.
Aye, no, definitely we will be talking about that friendly, obviously. And Regan Stevenson, you're joining in as well. The face that runs the place, as David always says. How are you this morning, sir?
Well, I mean, I'm doing well. It's been good to have a good summer break off the bus, but it's good to be back for season 23-24. So now I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're all suitably refreshed after a wee break, and yeah, the real stuff is about to start. It's just around the corner, so we definitely talk about that as well today. But yeah, speaking of the real stuff, let's talk about the good stuff. So I just remind all of the viewers, as normal, to do all that stuff. You know, like the show, helps out with the old algorithm and all that jazz. Remember, get involved in our comments section during the show, whether it's live or even leaving comments below the video afterwards. That always helps us out as well, because YouTube just loves an interactive channel. Of course, you could share the link of the Voice of Us far and wide, all over whatever social media platform you wish. And of course, you can help us on the way to 4K. We're not far off now. I believe we're about 20 away from it now. 4,000 before the season starts. Yeah, you hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. It would help us out massively. And of course, you can head over to piesports.com. And obviously, indulge in a wee treat for yourself, a wee tasty pastry. Get 12.5% off with the code BUS1888. Now, I know David does this every week to start the Sunday Blether. So I'm going to try and do this justice. So on the agenda today, folks, what's coming up on the Sunday Blether brunch time menu? Celtic 1, Wolves 1. What have we learned from the performance? Was there any surprises? We saw minutes in the legs for Yang and Kwon as they got their debuts. What did we make of them for the very small time that we got to see them? Obviously, lazy transfer links are back. Ryan Fraser, anyone? So we're talking about some transfer links that are going around. Speaking of which, Brendan Rodgers has had his say on what's to come in the transfer window after the game yesterday. So we're having a wee chat about that. And what do we take from his words? You know, we'll try and dissect that one. And of course, the final part of the agenda is next week is Flag Day, the opening day of the season. So I'll be asking the boys about some of their favourite memories on the opening day of the season for Celtic. So yeah, let's get into it now. Mark, you watched the game yesterday. As you said there, the opening gambit, you felt it was quite a good test for the boys. But yeah, it was a Premier League opposition. Obviously, we were originally supposed to be playing them in South Korea, but obviously we know what happened there. It all got moved around. But yeah, the game did go ahead in Dublin. Not a bad performance from the boys in the end. I thought we were in control, especially in the first half. I felt you said it there, you felt we could have put a few past them. Me and my dad watched the game, and at half time when they're coming off, we're like, we should honestly be about 3 up quite easily here. But, you know, we just did take chances with Hitati hitting the inside of the post, Kyogo with a brilliant chip over the goalkeeper hitting the crossbar. But yeah, we went in 1-0 at half time. But, you know, the signs were definitely good in the first half, weren't they?
I thought so. I thought Celtic, their attacking play was very good to watch. You know what I mean? It's the same sort of fluency we've seen last season. It just looks like it's just carried on. And what I noticed as well was we were taking corner kicks quite quickly and throw-ins quickly. So that element of the game stayed, which I think is really good. Celtics tend to capitalise a lot on that, the tactic alone. And I think Celtic, middle to front, looked really good. I think the defence, Liam Scales aside, I thought he was really good yesterday. I don't think anybody would have issues with him stating a claim to keep him in the squad this season. I think why not? Because he was at Aberdeen last year and played no bad, and he's played pretty good pre-season. Probably the other defenders, I think he's showed up the best. I think for the first time in a while, I think Greg Taylor's beginning to worry me a wee bit. It could be our maybe a wee knock-on effect for his injury last season, but I felt, and maybe the players that he was up against are a wee bit higher calibre than what you see in Scotland, but they weren't that good, to be honest with you. But he was getting savaged doing that left-hand side, and when you've got guys in Maeda in front of you, you know what I mean, you don't need to make up a lot of ground, you know what I mean, you can be a bit more disciplined, I feel, you know what I mean, because he did a lot of running for you, but he was getting savaged. I also felt again within 14 seconds Joe Hart's put the ball out for a corner under no pressure whatsoever. And there was 3 occasions. One occasion he lost the ball within his own 10 yards of his goals, and luckily Wolves are shite and couldn't capitalise on it, and the guy made an ass of it. But for me, the positives, as I said, are going forward. I still think there's so much more work to do. I think what's happened in pre-season is we all went into pre-season with the kind of idea that we need a new goalkeeper and left back area might need addressed. I think it's just confirmed that. I mean, Joe Hart's been a big favourite in mine the last couple of years, but I think sometimes players have got a sell-by date or a use-by date, should I say. And I think he'd be a great second choice keeper. Definitely keep him around the dressing room, and I don't think he would drag his heels and mump and moan. I think he'd be a good professional to have, but we need to replace him, in my opinion. Certainly, Greg Taylor, I wouldn't be distraught if we went into the season with Greg Taylor. I think he's still got another two or 3 levels to go before he's back to his normal standard. But I have seen signs that pre-season that he's either carrying a knock or there's just something no right with Celtic style of play that doesn't suit him, although I don't see much difference in the style of play. All the difference you see is when the ball gets into midfield, it seems to be moving about a wee bit different. Looks like the same for me. Same old. And I think Brendan Rodgers said we're not going to get any more signings till after the Ross County game, which is fine. We'll take that in the chin. But Ross County game, I think, will take care of itself. And we've got a month to go for the transfer window, but we've no really. We've got Pataudry to go to in less than 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And we've got a lot of difficult fixtures before we even get to Ibrox. Let's get one thing real here. We've got away games. I might be wrong in saying this, but I think we've got Tynecastle, Easter Road, Pataudry, and Ibrox within
the first 11 fixtures of the season. We're going to
that's within 4 or 5 weeks of the season starting, Phil. You know what I mean? And so it's not like we can just say, the season starts when Celtic get their best players in. That's not how the world works. The season starts on Saturday, mate, and I think I would like to have seen. I didn't want to see ideally a last pre-season match when you're saying to yourself, let's hope the guys will just get in and they can get 20 minutes under their legs. I thought they'd have played 3 or 4 games by now. And it's not ideal. And I know we'll get into transfer sagas again, but I find the last as the opposition has increased, the scrutiny of the squad will increase as well. And I think Ross County will take care of itself, but Pataudry isn't just a gimme anymore for Celtic. This is a new season. Aberdeen are revived as well, so let's just concentrate.
Barry Robson did well. He did really well.
I think if Barry Robson didn't get a full-time contract at Aberdeen, there would have been something personal there. So he's done a great job, and I don't think it would be a gimme. I actually think he might have took 3 points off of Rangers last season. No many teams did that along Celtic. So
they did. Liam Scales scored.
Scales scored an absolute cracking fluky goal, but let's just not forget, if we're going to discuss transfers at the season, I think just about playing Ross County on Saturday and then Rangers on the 3rd of September. We've got a lot of difficult games, and as I said, the season doesn't start when Celtic press their button. The season starts when the season starts, mate.
Indeed. Now, Regan, I know you couldn't see the game yesterday, so I won't ask you for any in-depth analysis on it, but we'll go to a point that Mark did bring up there, because Patrick McLaughlin in the comments, I don't know if he's in the know or anything, but he's came in with this to talk about a name we're linked with, and I'm going to try my best here. Kasper Tobias, I believe it's pronounced. That's what I'm going to take a guess that is. So he's a Legia Warsaw keeper. So Patrick Gosling we're being linked with 20-year-old keeper from Legia Warsaw, valued at 5 million. Kasper Tobias. So if he was to come in, spending that type of money, you would expect that he would be coming in to become the first choice goalkeeper, because he's not going to come in and sit on the bench. But it goes back to that point again, so if you've not been on for a few weeks now about the goalkeeper situation, it seems to be gaining momentum. I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments talking about it. And again, I like Joe Hart. I found yesterday he did pull off some decent saves as well. He sort of got, but Mark's right, in the very first 20 seconds of the game under no pressure. I believe it was Liam Scales, either Scales or Stephen Welsh were playing a set back, passed it back to him. And he just went to try and play it back to him and just put it right out for a corner kick in the first, 20 seconds of the game. You're like, what the hell is that? It was just like, I can remind me a goal from years ago at Easter Road that we lost, where we were messing about in the corner flag, just passing it out there. It was like something like that type of move. But the goalkeeper situation, Regan, where do you stand on it at the moment?
I think it's okay to see both sides in terms of Joe Hart's been a very good keeper, but I tend to agree with you two boys are saying where Joe Hart needs to be replaced if you want to move up a different level. I mean, because Brendan's come in to do well in Europe, and I don't think Joe Hart is sadly part of that. I think if you want to improve in Europe, we need a very good number one goalkeeper as well, because as much as Joe Hart's been very good for Postecoglou and for people around the dressing room, sometimes Sorrento can kick in and we can talk about it too much. But at the end of the day, if Celtic want to move forward as a football club, I think the number one goalkeeper is definitely a place we should be looking at.
Oh, without a doubt, it's save the last line of defence. It's the one bit that if you do make a mistake, it gets highlighted more than anything. A striker can make a mistake in a game, but they can redeem themselves a couple of minutes later by scoring. But a goalkeeper, they make a mistake, it lasts forever, unfortunately. It's a clanger forevermore.
See, the one thing I was surprised about pre-season, though, Philip, is Joe Hart saved a penalty. I was surprised about that.
Did. He actually did.
I didn't think he would save a penalty for the rest of his time, but he actually did. So
incredibly, though, here's the thing. It's like that thing, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around, does it actually make a sound? It happened in one of those friendlies that was behind closed doors. So did it actually happen, Regan? That's what we need to ask ourselves here. Apparently, there is a video out there of him saving this penalty, so I guess we need to take the word for it that it did happen. But yeah, yesterday he did, of course, face a penalty, which is an absolute shambles of a decision, but whatever. It wasn't a Scottish referee, it was an Irish referee. But yeah, he didn't save that penalty, unfortunately. Now, a point that came up there, Mark, and obviously we know exactly how you feel about certain centre-backs at Celtic, but it does reign true. We're facing a situation where we could start the season with Liam Scales and Stephen Welsh next weekend against Ross County. Against Ross County at home, again, you've got to think that would take care of itself. But a week later, as you say, Aberdeen, we're going up to Pittodrie. It's not going to be an easy one. I'd imagine the Rocky, did he come in on Nawrocki, I believe it's pronounced. I don't think he came in carrying a knock or anything. I guess he's just get up to match fitness or training. So I didn't hear anything about him having a knock, but Starfelt was missing yesterday. Carter Vickers is only just coming back. How do you think next week against Ross County? Do you think we will start with Scales and Welsh against them? Or do you think one of the big three will be in there?
Well, I said weeks ago, about a month ago, that our starting 11 will be worse than last season's starting 11 in the first game of the season. I stand by it. I think it's gross mismanagement of Celtic start a season with a inferior starting 11 than the one that finished it. When we've got £25 million coming in for a player, and don't know, be talking for another £70 million in the bank when you include the season ticket money's came in there and the money's surplus for last season. I don't take any excuses anybody wants to give me about Celtic just picking their time. None of the players we've bought has been a bidding war. They could have been in weeks ago. Well, even the Rocky, I'm not saying like there was 10 clubs involved and Celtic just got over the line. I mean, so even when you Google the transfer, it wasn't like with 25 teams in it, and we could have got them last month. It's just Celtic, as always, just try to save a weekly salary. And that's what it is. They can save it 10 grand a week for 4 weeks, it's 40 grand. More in Peter Lawwell's pocket, probably. But no, that aside, I think it's gross mismanagement for Celtic. I mean, the fixtures came out, it was Ross County, but it could have easily have been Hearts at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or something like that. You'd be still take care of them, I'm pretty sure, but you should be starting a season with Stephen Welsh, and Scales has come on leaps and bounds. I do like the boy.
I thought Scales played well yesterday. I thought he was actually not too bad, all things considered. But yeah,
well,
I totally take your point.
You've got 75 million in the bank, and you've got you've got a midfielder playing right back, a left back who's carrying something, our third or fourth choice centre back, and a guy we had on loan at Aberdeen last season. There's something all right there, Phil. I don't care what anybody says or whatever way you want to spin it in a circle. It just doesn't work out that way in Celtic. All the players we've got in seem Yang aside, they all seem to be very easy to deal with. So I don't see what the hold up was. You know what I mean? And surely the guys who are dealing with transfers were on their holidays. I'm pretty sure there was folk working, and for whatever reason they just decided to pull the. I mean, even the Korean boys, they signed 2 weeks before Celtic announced them. I mean, teams announced them leaving 2 weeks before they came into Glasgow. What was that? Just holding off for another 2 weeks' wages. What was the story there? I really don't know. It's just Celtic have been back to the bizarre state, the bizarre days of transfer dealings. I think that the better work is probably still to come. I agree with, like I say, even voice on this channel has been saying since day one that the better players will come in the last couple of days, and I think he's right. I think the better players do take time to get. I don't like to go over old ground again, but I just think that I said it under Rodgers before, and I was like, I used to say to Alec next to me, I'd say, well, we're going to start the qualifiers with beat on at the back, mate, and he just
it would happen
every season. They say the same thing, like, no, man, just be stupid, and we turn up and they built that every fucking time, mate, every time. And do you know what? See if we qualifiers next week. I still don't think Celtic would have went out and bought any different players for it is just now. It's just the model we're in. We don't rush for anybody.
Don't rush.
We don't see the and it's just if I talk Celtic's biggest problem is they've lost another player or two that's key to the squad, and Celtic go all out and buy them all on the 31st of August or the 30th of August, whatever it is. Does that mean they're all fit, ready, and up to speed for a big, massive match at Ibrox 3 days later? I don't think so. What happened to this? What happened to this narrative where get them in early, get them up to speed? One thing about the Zombies is no matter how much money they spend, whether they buy good or whether they buy bad, they get them in at the most earliest possible moment. So at the very least, they'll give themselves a good start. It doesn't matter the level of player they've brought in, whether they're shite or good. That's irrelevant. They give themselves with the manage, and they've always worked that way. You know what I mean? And we've got the money to do it. I mean, as I say, I mean, I might be ranking. You could go every single player we brought in this window, and Yang aside, there wasn't a bidding war involved in any single item, and yet, we saw home play half an hour. We saw two other boys make their debut 7 days before the season starts. We've got one injured and one who might feature on Tuesday. Come on, that is good enough. I mean, I don't care. I really don't care what anybody says. It's no good enough for a team with tens and tens and tens of millions of pounds just sitting about in the bank, just doing nothing.
I remember this time last year, the very first show we did last season, Celtic versus Aberdeen. We get the start lineup through. Remember me and Mark? And we said Stephen Welsh, and we were slagging them just before the game started. And Stephen Welsh scored against Aberdeen. Remember?
We did. That's right. He did. I scored first goal.
5 goals against Rangers. I'm going to change my opinion on how the level of quality is. He's still no Celtic standard. You know what I mean? It's just it's quite hanging. It's quite Celtic the way they've conducted this transfer window, because they've even got Celtic fans disagreeing with the fact that we've did the right business, and that's how Celtic cannot lose, because seeing if we go to the 1st of September and we've not signed any of their players just now, there will be a very large section of your fan base saying, do you know what? I've won a treble last season, what you moaning about? And you know something? That is where they can't lose, because they'll have folk backing them at every. This is the same board that I've shafted for 20 odd years, and the same board that's was trying to bring in a guy who ruined people's lives as a security officer for the club. You know what I mean? And they don't give a fuck what anybody, any Celtics.
Brendan was brought in for Thiago Home and Big O up front. Brendan was
said he was for Regan. He literally said last week, there's a narrative kind of about that I was giving assurances. He went, it's far from the truth. This is his own words. He said, I know the landscape more now than I did before. He's literally said to anybody who thinks that, well, it's nonsense. Who's telling you this crap? And even this £30 million war chest, that came from a WhatsApp chat that someone took a screenshot of. Jig Celtic discussed their dealings with people who take screenshots of WhatsApp group messages. I mean, I'm a person that's living in the real world here. That's not how it works. I don't think he's been given £30 million in the first place, but see, if that was the case, and they've told me Mary, who makes the rolls in the morning, so she can put it on a group chat and people take screenshots. I'd be very surprised, mate. I'd be quite astounded Celtic were that bad. I mean, with the lassie who took the photograph of the paper when Neil Lennon was in charge when we were doing the transfer, the proposed transfer dealings, and she gets sacked straight away, that lassie. Never seen again, you know what I mean? That's how ruthless companies who deal with millions of pounds need to be. Celtic's a football club, but they're still a company who deal with millions of pounds transactions. They don't tell folk that me, they would say, oh, you Joe, I've just found out we're signing this guy for 10 million next week. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't matter how it works.
Yes, we feel like we've read this book before. It's something that you've mentioned a few times, Mark, and yeah, there's that fear there. So I'm still remaining in that camp of, it'll be near the end of the window, we'll get some wins. But you're right to be concerned, because we've got a game at Ibrox. Are they ready to just go in? We have seen players make their debut at Ibrox, but keep in mind, so the most recent example is Alistair Johnson, but Alistair Johnson signed 4 weeks before that game or something, wasn't it? Or 3 weeks. He was in training, he was up to speed, and when he came in and played that game, even though most people are like, oh, that's amazing that he had such a great debut at Ibrox, it's like, well, yeah, he had 3 weeks training with the team and getting to know them. If somebody signs on August the 31st for a game on September the 3rd, then they better have had a full pre-season under their belt, and I've got a worry that they might not be. So that's a hard place to be going to make your debut with no real fitness in the legs. So yeah,
if you're spending all summertime humming and hawing what team to choose, you've got another Giakoumakis who's sat on the beach and no been to training and all the rest of it. If you're definitely gone and it's just picking your club, you're knowing as involved pre-season as what you normally would be. And that takes, I mean, even like Tillio, who's got about for a couple of months, any football player you hear talking about missing pre-season, it takes 3 or 4 months for them to get up to standard, up to the rest of the players. They all say that.
Aye, no, they did. So let's no, you go, Ian.
Sorry, I just can't believe that we're actually still got these players that we knew last season weren't good enough, like Stephen Welsh, Greg Taylor. But it's just like we're a ticking time bomb every season where we've got these same players that are just no good enough, but they're still there because they're still there.
Yes, we'll go on to some individual performances again, just what we learned yesterday. So Greg Taylor's name came up there. Now again, I know we were talking at the start of the show there, Mark, you'd mentioned it, but you feel like in pre-season there's been a bit of a drop-off with him, and could it be a change in the style? Because before Ange Postecoglou happened, Greg Taylor, not many people and many fans were like that high on him, but obviously this inverted fullback system that Ange played suited him very well, and he definitely came on leaps and bounds. Yesterday I saw a lot more of overlapping like style fullback, like what Brendan played first time around when he was Celtic manager. I know that Brown Warrior will probably come in and tell us he played inverted fullbacks at Liverpool. Emre Can played there, I know that, but yesterday Greg Taylor was definitely playing with overlap runs. And yeah, there was a few times as well defensively he was getting caught out with when they were coming down that right hand side, a lot of balls in behind for catching them. And again, you've got to take a look at it. Wolves are better than majority of the teams we're going to be playing domestically this season. So he was playing against a high caliber opponent, but he was getting, beaten quite easily down that side. We've discussed the left back position. We definitely need something else there, because obviously the alternative, as we know, Mr. Kearney, Judge, we know how you feel about the alternative to Taylor. It's obviously Bernabei. So I think that also creeps into a lot of fans' minds. But it's like, well, if Taylor gets injured, it's obviously going to be Bernabei. So we've got that, obviously, lingering with us. And then on the right-hand side, Regan, because I know you didn't see the game yesterday, so I say I can't really, we won't actually go into anything that happened in. But right-hand side yesterday, I believe, is it a Water started yesterday at right back? Was it? So right now we're minus Johnson and we're minus Ralston, and Waters playing as a makeshift right back. As he played as a centre back as well at the tail end of last season, which was he did bit of utility man. But yeah, right back, I'm surprised. I'm really shocked with like names that have been linked with us. We're not getting linked with right fullbacks right now, and even if it was like a loan of somebody till January, just to like fill the hole, essentially, it doesn't need to be something groundbreaking. Because see, we've got these links, Regan, with the City group, with Man City and whatnot. Somebody from their academy that can come in and just fill that hole right now, because I would feel much more comfortable with natural right backs playing at right back rather than oh, well, this guy's played it here a couple of times in his career and they're moving him there. So how are you feeling about the fullback situation, both right and left right now, Vegan?
Not very confident, to be honest, because I don't think Awata should be playing there. I think, like Mark was saying there, Celtic's got a lot of money, so they should just go and spend it. Because like going to Aberdeen and going to Ibrox is going to be a big test. And I don't fancy Awata going into a cauldron of Aberdeen and going to Ibrox as well, because don't forget that Aberdeen did well last season. I mean, as much as they got beat by Davos, they still qualified for the Europa League and did very well under Brian Robson. Then you get Rangers that have spent quite a bit of money. We don't know how their signings are getting on, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think in terms of Celtic, I think the fullbacks needs to be a position of strength for him, because like, as much as you were saying there, the treble was great and stuff, but for football moves on very, very quickly, and see if Celtic can't go with that, then I'm sorry, they need to, because at the end of the day, if you've got a central midfielder putting it right back, I think there's serious problems, because I know I want to play that centre back against Dundee United at home last season, and he didn't play very well. I remember one game he played against, I think it was St Mirren at home, and we drew 2-2. But I mean, that day, I think it looked like it was Cristiano Ronaldo playing up front for St Mirren, because that guy was.
Spain.
He's that day, remember? If you remember that day, guys.
Was Iwata and Ralston ran into each other on the first goal, didn't they? They bumped into each other and Curtis Main finished it at the near post, if I remember right.
And Greg Taylor as well. Greg Taylor made an arse of the equaliser, I think, was,
Aye, did I?
And in circles.
Aye. But that was I can remember after that game, it was, obviously we were winding down that scene, because we'd officially won the league at that point. We had won the league, but yeah, there was a few performances at tail end last season. But again, knowing what we know now about what happened to the manager, was it the players were just phoning it in because they knew that there was change coming? But again, we're all speculating. We don't necessarily know that one. But let's talk about a good performance from yesterday, Mark. I thought Hatate again proved why he's incredible. I mean, early on in the game, that shot from pretty much he's on the byline. I don't know if you've seen this, Regan, in any of the highlights, but yeah, he's pretty much on the byline and bends it up to the back post, and it actually hits the inside of the post and comes out. But in midfield, again, Mark, he was doing what he does best, just running the show, and so imperative. Like Patrick McLaughlin came in earlier on and just said, like, with Hatate and CCV out, the team are struggling big still. Obviously, we know the problems with CCV. We've dissected the defence problems enough at the moment of what we're facing, but Hatate, how crucial he is to hold on to. It seems like at the moment, transfer talk was obviously early in the window. There was some talk about a move away. It's cooled a little bit. Seems to cool just now, but again, that can change. It only takes 2 days, a day or whatever to suddenly it's all changed again, because the Jota stuff came out of nowhere essentially. But he's so vital to this team, isn't he, Mark?
Well, as you said, the better players tend to leave in the last couple of days of the window, the last week, so that's a worry for me. I really think Celtic should have their next player lined up, just in case that does go. Mm-hmm. And I still hope I'm wrong. I still think if he's not going to move this window, it might be January, to be quite honest with you. He's just far too good. I mean, even against better opposition yesterday, I thought he just strolled about that park. He was so silky. Even the simple things he just does it so well. And I thought yesterday was probably the best player in the park. I thought Daizen Maeda played really well as well. Kyogo looked quite electric. I know Kyogo looked like he was getting back to, it's still a worry every time the boy went doing the grunt. He was doing the grunt with cramp, and that's how he came off, sure. That's how he got subbed off, Kyogo, because he went doing. But he looked all right. But I think we've got a game on Tuesday. I think it's got to be 45 minutes each half with two different teams. Rodgers said, and good. We'll just rest our better players for this. Just don't play them at all, because we can't be. Somebody mentioned there any injuries would totally fuck us up at this stage. I think Hatate, he's so crucial how we play. Just as important as Callum McGregor, because I thought when Hatate was at the team last season, it was not detrimental to the team when Callum McGregor went out of the team. I thought I really stepped in and did a good job. But when Hatate was out of the team, I thought, something just no right there. There was a cog missing, I felt, and the guy's just on a different level. I think for new Jota's away, he's a different level for anybody else in the league. You know what I mean? I think we need to. I think Celtic should have their next player lined up. You know what I mean? It'll probably be somebody in Korea just now, ready to come, or somebody in the Man City group that will come up on loan or something. I'm pretty sure we'll use the £15 million we get wisely on a £500 player for Australia or the City group or Korea or something. I'm pretty sure.
Or Ryan Fraser, as the newspaper reports that have been believed.
My biggest worry yesterday watching that match was Celtic's. Every ball in that box was a worry for me. And Rangers have just signed 10.
Yeah, they're all over 6 foot, aren't they? Yeah.
So they've got to struggle with these games. I think their tactic against us has always been get in the Celtic half, draw a foul, and then cross the ball. And that's how sometimes Arthur Johnson gives me the fears, because he can't help but give them stupid fouls in dangerous areas. Although he's a brilliant defender, and I love the guy, but I think he'll be very guilty of giving away free kicks against him that could result in some tricky moments for Celtic in these matches. And I think we can't have players my height and derby matches. Phil, I'm just sorry, he just can't have it. I mean, the guy's my height. You know, I mean, I don't know how he's how good he is. I actually had to Google the guy yesterday. In fact, I done a Twitter search for him yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm not even just saying this. Every post that came up was just somebody mentioning his height. Not one person mentioned his ability.
Yeah.
And it could be that good that folks just try and pick out his weaknesses, but I think it's probably because he does fuck all else other than just stand out for being so small. You know what I mean? And so I'd like to think that we have got the next player lined up, Phil. But let's just enjoy the guy while he's here. If we're going to lose him, I'd rather lose him in January, because we've got a couple of tricky games coming up. Obviously, we've got the first round of fixtures, which includes Ibrox, Tynecastle, Pittodrie, Easter Road. It's all been convenient for Rangers, although we'll get it back in the last quarter fixtures. We'll probably have Tynecastle and Ibrox, Celtic, Rangers at Celtic Park, so we'll get it back. But you have to, as the COVID season's taught us, the start of your season goes a long way to defining your season, almost 9 out of 10. So we need to start the season well. Any ins and outs aside, we've got the best manager in the league by a country mile. I feel like the guy's an absolute genius. It was actually quite good yesterday. I was watching the match, and every time the camera went on to Brendan Rodgers, he wasn't sitting there coughing. He was sitting there with a wee notepad, and he was just taking notes, and I love that. I love that, because that's a man, doesn't matter what the score is, he's cool and calm, and he's just making notes, making wee changes that me and you wouldn't notice, but they affect the play. And that's what I think he wins the battle almost every time against quite a lot of managers. Hence why he beat Guardiola by 5 goals, and Kwon, Mourinho, and everything in England. Still managed to win 2 trophies in 4 seasons with a Leicester team, and somehow he's described as a failure in England. I really don't know how that works, but just KT's been mentioned there on the. I seen Martin Keown. He today he's an arsehole. Anybody that listens to that guy needs to go sit in a dark room. But one thing it did say today is, let's get real. You know, the realism. What's Celtic got to gain for it? Paying a lot of money for one season. I loved his Kieran Tierney, but he also said, what's Kieran Tierney got to gain for it? You know what I mean? It's just the same old, every window there's talking about Kieran Tierney coming back, and this man seems to have legs. I genuinely don't see it happening. I think if a guy does move this window and it's a loan rather than a straight sale, I think it will beat Celtic, because for him personally there's merit in it, but I'm not entirely sure how it works. You know what I mean? I don't know about it. And when I read his story this morning, his piece this morning, I did think, do you know what? For an utter arsehole, you've made a couple of good points. I just don't see it happening.
There's a meme out there, Mark, and it's something like, the worst person you know makes a point you agree with. It's like a newspaper headline, and that's exactly what kept my mind there. It's like a moment where you agree with somebody that you hate. You're like, oh man, I feel dumb.
How can we not move on? But how come I think Celtic, me included, us as a fan base, we're always trying to find still trying to get back with that last 8 dumped us at 16 at a skill disco. Any player that leaves, every window, Hooper. I mean, there's still folk wanting Gary Hooper back 2 years ago. I mean, he's like 14 stone overweight, and Mr. Dembele, I mean, the guy's got a hole in his heart. There's a lot of, I mean, I'm surprised he's got the contract he's got out there, because there's a lot of questions. I think a lot of doctors would sign him off as being a long-term fit up. I think there's maybe issues with that guy's heart, and he's got a hole in it. I don't know. But anyway, any player that leaves us, I mean, Boric, the list is so long. If they play good for us for this period of time, we just get romantic and try and get that ex-bird back. And I just think just move on, man. Just move on. If Kieran Tierney pops up, we want to come, bring him. But I'd be surprised, but happily surprised by it, to be honest with you.
Now, Regan, let's talk strikers. Because yesterday, Kyogo did what he does best. He was doing his thing.
Yeah, seen the goal.
Scored a nice goal. Nice pass for a bad late back into him, and he bent into the corner. But there was a few moments during the game where Kyogo also did that thing where he goes down and you start to worry. You're like, oh no. There's one point where the referee actually had to help him because he had cramp, I believe it was, in his leg. But he went down a few times. There's always that worry that he's made of glass, essentially, with the injuries he's carrying. There's this shoulder injury they're talking about that he's got to get surgery for at some point. Obviously, O is the alternative at the moment. He's only an out-and-out striker we have. But here's the thing, Regan. Dyson Maeda's had quite a decent pre-season so far under Brendan, playing through the middle a bit more. We've said a few times we've speculated on who's going to be that guy that jumps out this season and does like what Stuart Armstrong did in the first Brendan era, a player where they just come from nowhere and they find another level. Guys like Scott Brown did it, James Forrest all did it, and it's like, is Dyson Maeda, Regan, going to be that guy that this time next year we're sitting here going, I cannot believe the season Dyson Maeda just had? Is he going to be the alternative striker option if we don't sign one? Does Brendan just say that, okay, we've got Kyogo, we've got O, and if both of them are injured or for whatever reason are not available, I've got Dyson Maeda that I can trust. You think, Maeda, this is it? We're going to see a 20-goal season, as David always jokes with Mark about 20-goal season for Maeda. Are we going to see it this coming season, Regan? Is he going to be the answer?
I think Mark should be shutting his tail, because Dyson Maeda in pre-season looked a totally different player. But no, I think that he's been quite good for the middle, especially in the Yokohama game. He scored 3 in that game and could have scored 5. So I think he was good that game. But me personally, I would like to see you strengthen in that area. But I think Brendan can really turn Maeda into a really good player, because Brendan is that magic where you think, well, players can't be fixed to a better level. But I think in terms of Brendan, he showed that before with Armstrong, like you said. And I think that Maeda could be something similar. But I would like to see you strengthening in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, so your heart's always in your mouth when Kyogo does go down. You're like, oh no, what's happening now? Because there was a few yesterday where you're like, oh no, please, not in a friendly.
I think especially for if you want to be playing in Europe as well and doing well in Europe. Because
I don't think O's the answer, Regan, is he? I think O just dives. I mean, with we all slagged Rangers for diving pre-season there. It's embarrassing, but he had 2 chances to score, 1-on-1 with the keeper pre-season there, and he just dived for no reason rather than take the shot on. He's a player that I don't particularly like him, to be honest with you. I think he's a bit, he's very raw. I think he has to go out on loan and see if the Celtic to hang their hat even in the League Cup under that guy. I wouldn't have any confidence. So for O to be yours, I mean, I think Maeda playing well in the matches. He did well to mention it, but I think that these teams have had a very high line. His game is getting him behind defenders. You're not going to get a high line against Dundee United at Celtic Park, mate, or even Aberdeen at Celtic Park, or Aberdeen at Pittodrie. Very conservative, you know what I mean? And there's reasons why he might even play in Europe. I'll play more, but I just don't. The reason, even if you saw his highlights for the season before we signed him, he got 19 goals. You look at all his goals are the same. Seem to be breaking away. You know what I mean? And he's got the pace to beat the last couple of defenders, and if he's got the composure, he'll score 40 goals. You know what I mean? And looks like at this pre-season, he's really has picked up his game. But I don't know if that type of player is suited more to a Celtic who spend 90% of the game in front of defenders rather than defending the ball. You know what I mean? A big long ball at the top. Ibrox to chase on is great for Maeda, but you don't get that very often. You know what I mean? We're playing against defences who who sit almost on the 18-yard line, and you don't really get much space in behind. Celtic hire the better players and pay the better money because they've got the players that can unlock the defences. But it's normally a wee pass for a Kyogo or a Jota or somebody like that, somebody with a Tom Rogic, somebody who's got a bit of skill that can play the ball through. I'm not sure you get the best out of Daizen Maeda when he's got 15 yards to run into, and he's got when he's having to face a goalie straight away. I think he panics quite a lot. Yeah. He's the kind of player that is good running in behind defenders with a lot of space. You know what I mean? Because his pace automatically makes him a favourite to get to it, but sometimes his football ability lets him down. But I would be see if he broke Larsson's record. There'd be nobody on this podcast being happier than me, Regan, to be honest with you. I hope he scores 500 goals next season, but there's a reality to it, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't think any Celtic fan, including you or even David, would be happy to see Daizen Maeda be our first choice striker. Should, as Phil said, Kyogo, who has made a glass, let's be honest, does miss it. Aye. You can't trust O to be. I still think we need a striker, mate, because that boy is just. He reminds me of Big Yakon Bayo, to be honest with you. But Bayo didn't dive as much because that boy just dives. I don't like it at all, mate. I don't like it in Celtic players at all, mate. I think Celtic players, are normally a bit more fairer than that. I don't like people cheat.
Yeah, well, the last wee point, obviously, to bring up from the Wolves game, even though it's not really too much point going into it, but obviously the word at the moment is penalties, because we saw an absolutely ridiculous soft penalty decision. At the end of the day, it wasn't a Scottish referee, but my God, as we've learned from recent friendlies, it seems going on, it sounds like diving for penalty seems to be acceptable now in friendly, because as Treble says here, penalty. How are you feeling about the Govan Club's penalty allocation this season, lads? You know what's going to happen with them. We're not even going to go into that. We know what's going to happen, and they'll get plenty of them. But yeah, some of the bizarre dives we've seen in the last week or so in friendly games that seem to get you a penalty. Mental what you can get away with when there's no VAR looking at it, or sometimes you can get away with even when VAR is looking at it. But yeah, that was one ridiculous decision. I see Joe Hart right away was right up at Matt Doherty in his face, because he knew it's but you just knew that if it's a penalty, he's probably going to score it. As you said earlier on, Regan, apparently he saved one in a behind closed doors friendly, but has anybody seen it? I haven't seen it yet, but apparently it happened. So but we'll see this season. Maybe if Joe Hart is still between the sticks, if we do concede a penalty here and there, maybe he'll finally save one. In a competitive game, or if a new goalkeeper does come in, maybe they will be quite adept at saving penalties. Now, let's get on to the final segment of the show, guys, because obviously next week, the good stuff starts. The real competitive stuff starts. We play Ross County, opening game of the season. Flag Day, it's always a special day. Something we've become accustomed to as Celtic fans in the last, since the turn of the century, essentially, the amount of titles that we've won. Flag Day is always a big one. So yeah, opening day, it's a massive important day. It's live on the TV as well, as it should be, for unfurling the flag. 12:30 kickoff next week, Regan, I do believe, Saturday.
I look forward to it, I'll be there.
Yes, we're actually playing before them. Oh my God, it's amazing. Start a new season, and we're actually playing before them. Makes a nice change after the way last season ended. But yes, Ross County are obviously the opponents. So yeah, I was just going to have a wee talk about opening day moments and memories and stuff like that. Any in particular that stand out? Now, since I've been a season ticket holder since 2007, my very first Flag Day, because we were the reigning champions from the season before, mine's is one of the only times that we've not actually won on the opening day, because I got a drab 0-0 draw with Kilmarnock in my first ever Flag Day as a season ticket holder. I was like, oh great, it was an absolute shock, because the season before we played Kilmarnock in the opening day, we beat them 4-1. Yuri Jarosik scored like a brace on his debut. But yeah, we got Kilmarnock again on the opening day. And that was a 0-0 draw. It's an absolute shock of their performance to start the 07-08 season. But overall, I mean, some of the memories along the way. I mean, I know the SFA or SPFL, whatever one it is that's drawing up the fixtures, they always like to give us Hearts on the opening day. Hearts are always an interesting one. And strangely enough, Regan, do you remember the time we had to start the first game of the season, even though we were the reigning champions, we had to go and play at Tynecastle on the opening weekend? Like, why? Why have you broken tradition here? Like, why is that? And that, funny enough, Regan, was Brendan Rodgers' first league game in charge from his first time around. But what about yourself, Regan? What memories and moments stand out for you on the opening day of the season?
Probably the one about 3 or 4 years ago. Neil Lennon 7-0 against St Johnstone.
Oh,
that
that's a
right?
good one. Yeah. Remember that one?
I think Ryan Christie scored a belter that day.
Did Ryan Christie score a hat trick that day?
Scored a belter.
He definitely scored. But I'm sure he scored 3. Somebody will come in the chat and tell us. But I remember it was battering St Johnstone, and that was when Lennon had got the job full time, and you had this idea that this player should be quite good, but give it a year, and it didn't quite go too well. But I think Christie scored a hat trick that day. Sure of it. But I remember that one. That was a thoroughly good one. What else, Mark? Any that stand out to you off the top of your head?
No, we're that spoiled with Celtic fans that we get that many. I do remember. I remember us putting 5 past Dunfermline after they won we stopped the Rangers 10.
Yeah,
I think that was a good performance. Nice sunny day and all the rest of it. Although the season ended up pretty bad, but no, that one sticks. As soon as you mentioned it there, that one sticks in the memory. But I couldn't actually. The first one I thought about was the one you mentioned there at Tynecastle. That wasn't really a flag day, but that's the one that's jumped out straight away because of Sinclair. I think Sinclair signed for Celtic and played for Celtic and scored his first goal on the one day with some rank. Yeah. Somebody can hang in with that. But I'm pretty sure that reason that game was an away game because did we know change something? Did we know change a fixture or something? I'm pretty sure there's a reason why Celtic played an away. I think there was something we did. They put it back to the Sunday and whatever it was and made it an away game. I can't remember. Maybe it was a qualifier or something. I don't know. I don't really know, mate.
There's 2 seasons in the last decade where there was the year the Commonwealth Games were in Glasgow, so we couldn't use Celtic Park, so we started the season at St Johnstone. That one made sense. The story that I've heard about the 2016 one is because Rangers had been promoted from the division below as champions, so they had to have their own flag day, and apparently they couldn't have 2 flag days, so they put us away from home. And I was like, surely not. I like tradition's tradition. We had to unfurl the flag that season against Lincoln Red Imps in a European qualifier. Which didn't make
we did,
yeah, we did that against Lincoln Red Imps. But one you brought up there, Mark, I'm glad you brought up the Dunfermline one because that's the infamous one when Fergus McCann got booed.
That's right. That's how I remember it as well.
Yes,
he got booed. He was getting applauded on the white of the stadium in the St Johnstone game the previous season, then booed. And do you want to know why? He was booed for a couple of reasons, but one of the main reasons is because every Celtic fan saw Celtic get the title and they felt they could have improved with the chances of European qualification. And even the board at that time went, nah, we'll stick to what we've got. We'll leave it with Darren Jackson and Henrik Larsson's backup, you know what I mean? And whatever Viduka's going to be playing. We just didn't strengthen at all that season, you know what I mean? We just didn't. You look at a couple of things that happened that season. You know, we went to the game that lost the league at Celtic Park against Rangers. I mean, we had to get an emergency loan for Arsenal, I think.
Scott Marshall.
Andy Gray's. Was Andy Gray? Oh, no, sorry, that's Scott Marshall, sorry.
Scott Marshall. Oh, he was awful.
He came in, you know what I mean, for that game. And we were getting emergency loan players to play in derby matches to stop our rivals who won the league at Celtic Park. And that season was just riddled from start to finish. It was a mess, you know what I mean? Although Wenger, I felt, was actually a decent manager at Celtic. We had a lot of big victories at Celtic Park that season. We gave a few teams a good doing. It was more of our away performances were terrible, if I remember right. But that one springs to mind. And you know, I think you mentioned there about us having a flag day the same day as the same weekend as the Rangers. But the previous couple of seasons, they have won the second division and third division. We'll probably have flag days the same weekend. So I'm pretty sure there was a reason given. I can't remember, but they tried to turn it on Celtic. Like it was Celtic's fault because Celtic asked for this. I really don't know. Maybe was it Rodgers? Did they get a new pitch or something? I really don't know. I can't remember.
Oh well, that could be something to do with it. Maybe they'll really the pitch. Maybe
somebody will know. Somebody's a lot more intelligent than me will know. But I think it's the chat turn on Celtic. But and do you know you mentioned there, and we played something like 18 or 20 times after Rangers last season, and like another 7 or 8 times the same time as them. then 4 derbies. So we played it at 3 or 4 games in front of them. This season alone, at the starting, we're playing at 12:30, and then we couldn't even wait to the Sunday. They went, let's make Rangers on the Saturday. Let's just keep them on the same day at least, because we can't have Celtic tap out league for a couple of years and put pressure on Michael Beale straight away. And that, I don't care what you say, there's a real effort within the SFA to give Rangers every advantage they can. You know what I mean? It's quite. You mentioned penalties there. I mean, I think they scored. Maybe rank here. I think they scored 6 goals pre-season, 5 are penalties.
I think Steve-O said something in the chat yesterday about that, and I was like, that is a stunning. That's ridiculous.
And that is very rarely you get a penalty in pre-season. It's going to be a stone wall, because referees just can't be arsed with the hassle. To be quite honest with you, but they just seem to get it. I mean, they do a lot of things pre-season that a lot of. I mean, I remember Lee McCulloch was supposed to get sent off, and the referee made him get subbed off. Remember that? He was in England to play a friendly match for Rangers, and I think he smashed somebody a belter. I think he turned them in for the season, and rather than red carding Lee McCulloch, the referee said, "Get a guy off the park." They seem to do a lot of things pre-season that a lot of teams don't do. Rangers.
Funny that one, isn't it? Yes.
Even ask Kaya, his career, I think, didn't take the same trajectory. Lee McCulloch was suspended for that match, and Rangers appealed it, even though they elbowed a guy in the face the previous match. And he was totally going to get his appeal turned down, but Rangers used the system and appealed it so that he could play the derby match with Celtic won. So get up and that's how he's allowed to play that match. And he fucked Kyle. Kyle didn't come back the same player. He was destined for bigger things. I think there was talk of some really big teams looking at Kyle, and I don't think his career took the same path after that. And it's the same as Aguirre. The careers just to a different path. Which is my worry with Carter Vickers and Johnson. So you have surgery and things like that and big injuries. You're always wondering how they're going to come back, don't you?
Yeah, it's true. Actually,
Carter Vickers has got a lot of mental strength. I mean, he's been at loan so many times, and he's come back, and he's not like he could do. He's come back stronger. So I'm quite content he's going to come back and just stroll games as normal, because he just looks like a class act. Arthur Johnson, again, I love the guy. We'll see how he comes back. I'm pretty sure if anybody's going to get the best out of fullbacks, it is Brendan Rodgers. He works very closely with. If he sees talent, he will nurture it. If you're not interested, then he'll not work with you. And I think Arthur Johnson's the kind of guy that I think will sap every bit of information.
Sponge.
I think so. I think so.
I want to ask you guys a question.
Go for it.
How many players do you think will sign by the end of the window?
I think I'll say another 3. Don't ask me what positions, because I just don't know right now. Probably another winger, because we're signing a million wingers. Brendan himself said, years ago, don't know why we're signing another winger. We've got a million wingers, but I'll say 3. I'll go for that.
I think I'll say the same as Phil. I think 3 sounds like a right number, but I think we might lose about 5 or 6, because I think there's going to be a lot of shite leaving. You know what I mean? Like, so
good.
It's good, but I think even with the possibility of us losing like a first 11 player again, I still think it'll probably be about 3 players. Hopefully, one's a striker and one's a keeper. But definitely need to replace Joe Hart. I'm beginning to really turn on that now. That I think he'll not lose us the league, Joe Hart, because he's still at a certain standard. But it's a worry that we're going to be controlling big matches, and he's going to just revert to what he's been doing pre-season there and just make a cut to it. I mean, look at the game at Ibrox last season. I think
it was that pass out from the back.
I'm pretty sure that pass turned their support were on top of Rangers that day, and then that back pass, and it coincided with Greg Taylor taking a tumble on all, and it was like, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? Sometimes football matches, and you've been there, Phil. Sometimes the football matches can be sucked. They actually be sucked out of one team just for an incident. You know what I mean? It could be a foul, it could be like a stupid mistake, and you score, something's changed here, didn't you? And but I think if we don't sign another keeper, it wouldn't derail our season. But I think, come on, it's got to be a priority. And I think Brendan Rodgers has actually said, I'm assessing it, when he was asked about the goalkeeping situation. And I think the fact that he said that makes me think that he's no totally convinced. In fact, to be quite honest with you, I'd rather he made 3 mistakes yesterday alone. I'd rather he did all that in pre-season.
Get out of the way in pre-season, I know.
There's no consequences, but second of all, there's time to fix it. If this happened in October, it just took a 2, 3, 4, 5 game spell where he was just a dumpling, you'd be stuck with him, because you can't trust Seacrest or Ben either, I'm afraid.
That's right.
the date pre-season where there's still time to fix it and there's no consequences. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that'd be.
Well, it's like any walk of life, any occupation, Mark. Complacency sets in when you're comfortable, and Joe Hart's been in the position for 2 seasons now where he knows nobody's taking this shot off me, because they too, as you mentioned, Segrist and Bain, they're not getting the jersey. So a goalkeeper needs to come in. If it's somebody's not going to come in and replace him right away, it's somebody that Joe Hart then knows, right, this guy could take my shot any time. So that's the key to it. So hopefully, if a goalkeeper is coming in, that's what we do. But you mentioned there about, you think a lot of shite's going to be out. So Regan, here's a last memory for you. Today is an anniversary. And this is relevant because we're playing Ross County next week. And the last time we played Ross County on the opening day at Celtic Park, the guy that we signed on this day in 2013 made his debut. Dirk Berichter against Ross County. What 20 minutes he had against Ross County, if you remember that game. He was unbelievable for that 20 minutes. Then he got injured, and that was the story of Dirk Berichter's time, because you thought, this guy's a baller, this guy's going to be amazing. I remember reading many times when we signed him, a lot of stuff about from Dutch football experts saying he's a sick note, he's an injury case. And again, you're just like, okay, he'll be fine. And lo and behold, 20 minutes into his debut against Ross County, off he went. And that was the ballad of Dirk Berichter. But the last time we played Ross County, that was 2013, 10 years ago. We beat them 2-1. I think they were beating us 1-0 for a period of the game, and Anthony Stokes scored the brace to bail us out that day. But I remember Dirk Berichter being phenomenal in his first 20 minutes, and you thought, what a player. Gutted when he went off injured. But Jesus Christ, man. I saw that on Twitter the day somebody put today's the 10 years today when Dirk Berichter signed for Celtic. And I was like, oh, Jesus, man. Oh, fucking hell, man. He's up there as one of the worst signings. We talk about, Mark, you've made a point about the whole £2-3 million bracket. I've justified it. Says, look, there's a lot of good ones who signed there, which is true, but equally there is a lot of bad ones as well, and he definitely falls into that category. I think he was £3 million around about there. Just money we had to write off in the end because we couldn't even sell him. We just to terminate his contract. So hopefully none of these players that are coming in follow in the footsteps of Mr. Berichter. But guys, we'll wrap up there because that's us coming up to the hour now. So next Sunday, hopefully David will be back after his gallivanting for the last few weeks, being on holiday. So we pick up a new car today. All right for him then. He'll be back for that hopefully next week as well. And so tomorrow will be Monday Club. Russell and Jono will be on at 7:00. Seems to be the new slot now for the Monday Club. Of course, Sutton Deaf will be back again. Another excellent edition of Sutton Deaf coming up. I have got a good question lined up for them, but they'll find out on the night when I unveil it to them. And we go again. We're going to give it a week because now it is we now bear down towards the start of the season. We've got one more friendly on Tuesday night against Athletic Bilbao, James Forrest testimonial. And then, we get into it and off we go to the races. Who knows? Maybe there'll be more transfer rumours this week. Maybe Celtic will surprise us and unveil somebody before the end of the week. But, of course, we'll be on point of attention. Just a reminder, of course, if you haven't done it yet, also hit that subscribe button to make sure that you keep on top of when we go live. Make sure you hit the bell notification because, we're back now for the new season. So we will be going live a lot throughout the week. So, that's us heading off now. Enjoyed yourself today, boys?
It's been very good. It's been very good. Just hope...
Dignified as always, Regan.
Oh, dignified. David's got a lot of competition to live up to. No, I've missed David. He's been sadly missed, but he'll be back next week. But it's been good to be on. It's been good to be on, and hopefully next Saturday we'll be top of the table for a few. Hopefully more than a few of us.
Yeah, stick about 5 past them. We should be okay. We should be absolutely fine. I'll keep us on top of the league for the weekend, I reckon. And Mark, enjoyed yourself?
As always, mate. It's always good to come on a Sunday and unleash all my...
Start your Sunday right, mate. Start your Sunday.
Mate. I hope you enjoyed it, regardless of my sobering thoughts for a few of them anyway. But I quite enjoyed myself, as always. I'll probably be back this week on Wednesday, maybe. If we can do another judgment day, maybe if yourself or David or Russell want to do a show with me this week, we'll do one. We've done one in 2 weeks now, so we'll get that back up running. And it's the one before the season starts, so Probably a couple
It
of
will
good
be,
questions.
yeah. Plenty of questions asked there. And regarding myself with Nostalgia at the moment, I know it wasn't on Friday night. We're just getting a few things sorted there, looking at a few format changes and whatnot. But I will be back in due course. I've got plenty of ideas lined up, but that'll spring up when it needs to. But yeah, we're heading off now, folks. So you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, whatever you get up to, and we shall catch you all later. See you, folks.
Cheers, guys.